In a world consumed by fire and despair, a guttural scream of pure agony rips through the air. This is the end for the conqueror, the fearsome death knight, Damien, brought to his knees, not by a noble hero, but by the crushing weight of his own war. Across the burning landscape, an endless horde of the undead charges forward. With glowing red eyes and silent screams, they are the instruments of the apocalypse, a tide of death washing over the remnants of civilization. The legion of death is relentless, a sea of grotesque figures, animated by pure destruction, swarming over the ruins of the once mighty empire. Amidst the chaos, the last vestiges of humanity fight and fall. Soldiers and citizens alike are swallowed by the undead tide, their desperate cries lost in the symphony of destruction. Suddenly, a cataclysmic explosion tears through the battlefield, a blinding flash of light that momentarily halts the advance of the dead and vaporizes everything in its path. At the heart of the storm, two titans clash. The Death Knight Damien, wreathed in darkness, swings his colossal blade against a lone, defiant warrior clad in white. The white-haired swordsman grits his teeth, his eyes burning with furious determination. He is the last line of defense, a beacon of light against the encroaching darkness. The duel rages on, a blur of motion and magical energy. Each parry and counter sends shock waves through the air, the very ground trembling under the weight of their power. Sparks fly as steel meets demonic steel. The Death Knight's glowing red eyes watch intently, analyzing his opponent's every move in this deadly dance. Damien presses his assault, his immense sword carving arcs of destruction, forcing his opponent to give ground. But the swordsman holds firm, meeting every blow with incredible skill. A devastating blow connects, shattering armor and sending fragments flying. The force of the impact is immense, a testament to the world-ending power wielded in this final battle. With a thunderous crash, a sword is driven into the cracked earth, a final, desperate act in the face of overwhelming odds. Panting and wounded, the Empire's strongest swordsman, Aids, looks up in awe. Incredible, he breathes, as expected of the Knight of Hell. It is an acknowledgement of a power that surpasses his own. The victor stands revealed. The Death Knight, Damien, looks down upon the fallen hero. He has conquered the strongest warrior the Empire had to offer, but victory is fleeting. As Damien stands over his defeated foe, a spiderweb of cracks appears on his demonic helmet. Something is wrong. His strength failing, the Death Knight stumbles. His helmet, the very symbol of his power and terror, shatters and falls away into pieces. For the first time, the man behind the monster is revealed. He drives his massive sword into the ground, not as a sign of victory, but to hold his own collapsing body upright. A wave of agony washes over him. The last embers of his dark power flicker within his glowing red eye, a sign that his reign as the Death Knight is coming to an end. Then, a shocking transformation. The demonic red glow fades, replaced by a clear human eye, wide with confusion and pain. The monster is reverting. The face of the conqueror is that of a young man, his features twisted in bewildered fury. This is Damien, stripped of his apocalyptic power, betrayed and defeated at his moment of triumph. A heavy sigh escapes his lips. He gazes out at the burning empire, a victory that has cost him everything, a kingdom of ash and ruin. The empire's tattered flag burns, a final, silent testament to its utter destruction. An entire nation erased from existence. But the true victor now makes himself known. A monstrous jaw clenches as Arch-Lich Odrago speaks with satisfaction. Good, very good, I have finally brought this cursed empire down to its knees with my own hands. Gazing upon the fruits of his treachery, the hooded Arch-Lich Odrago addresses the ashes of the empire. He muses aloud, savoring each word. There's an old saying that goes something like, "The longer the wait, the sweeter the revenge." His gaze then falls upon his final prize, a chained captive. I have finally accomplished what I set out to do 1,000 years ago, Odrago taunts, his voice dripping with malice. He poses the cruel question to the last emperor, reveling in the suffering of the man who once ruled this now dead world. A low chuckle echoes through the ruins. Arch-Lich Odrago, the true mastermind, looks upon his work with immense satisfaction, his skeletal face a mask of triumph. His captive, the defeated emperor of the Helios Empire, Howard Adele Light, can only scream in rage and sorrow. "How dare you massacre all of my people?" he cries, tears of fury streaming down his face. Odrago playfully catches the emperor's curse. How sweet, he mocks, completely unfazed by the rightful king's hatred. To him, this is all just part of the celebration. "Are you done talking?" Odrago asked dismissively. "Shall we proceed with the coronation now?" The emperor can only stare in disbelief at the sheer audacity of the traitor. "After all," Odrago declares with a mocking pose, "I've unified the entire continent for the first time in history. Being called emperor is hardly too much." Emperor Helios grits his teeth, his body trembling with a powerless rage. He is forced to watch as the monster who destroyed his world prepares to steal his throne. The limp body of the defeated Death Knight hangs in the air, a puppet whose strings have been cut. Odrago turns to his followers, the demon kings who betrayed their commander. "You've all done well, my demon kings, and Death Knight." It's a formal declaration of his coup d'etat. With his power now absolute, Odrago gives his first command as the new ruler: "Bring the imperial crown to me." The imperial crown of the Helios Empire, a symbol of absolute authority and power, glitters magnificently. It is the ultimate prize. The treacherous demon kings gather, presenting the crown. And carrying it is the ultimate insult: the body of the defeated Death Knight, Damien, now a mere servant to the usurper. Under Odrago's control, Damien's body moves forward, presenting the crown to the very being who orchestrated his downfall. "Ooh, my most loyal knight," Odrago says with dripping sarcasm, patting Damien's shoulder. "You have played the greatest role in bringing me here. How should I reward you for your great service?" Damien's eyes are open, but they are vacant. His consciousness is fading, his body no longer his own. He obediently holds out the crown, the final act of his humiliation. Odrago's facade of pleasantry drops. "That was a foolish question," he says, his voice turning cold as ice. "You are my slave." As Odrago proclaims that serving him is the only reward, something snaps. The crown flies from Damien's hands. Odrago looks up in shock. This was not part of his plan. The puppet is fighting back, With the last of his strength, Damien unleashes a final, desperate attack, a wave of violent energy that blasts Odrago and the traitorous Demon Kings. The Demon Kings cry out in shock, caught completely off guard by the dying knight's defiance. Enraged, Odrago gathers his own immense power, his hands glowing with sinister red energy. The Archlich unleashes a torrent of destructive magic, a finishing blow meant to utterly obliterate the last spark of Damien's resistance. The Demon Kings can only watch as their new master's overwhelming power descends upon their former leader. Damien is engulfed in the spell, every fiber of his being screaming as the magic tears him apart. This, he knows, is the final moment before his utter annihilation. But Odrago stumbles back, stunned. The attack connected, yet he himself felt the impact. "I had my defense on. How did he harm me?" he screams in disbelief. For a puppet to wound its master was an impossible feat, unless the strings had already been broken. From the depths of his fading consciousness, Damien's true will surfaces. "Finally," he whispers, defying the Lich's control. He was never truly gone. "I'm moving by my own will," Damien declares, his eyes, once vacant, now burning with defiant turquoise light. The puppet has broken its strings. Odrago recoils in shock. "What are you saying? I erased your consciousness completely." But Damien reveals the truth. He was never gone, merely a prisoner in his own body. All this time, Damien's spirit was trapped, forced to watch helplessly as Odrago used his body to betray his allies and destroy an empire. Faced with the resurrected will of the Death Knight, Odrago is momentarily speechless. The masterpiece has turned against its creator. Odrago's shock quickly turns into arrogant amusement. "Truly, you are my greatest masterpiece," he sneers. "For your achievements, I'll allow you to vent your anger, just this once." He makes it clear that this freedom is temporary, a fleeting moment before he regains control. With that, he sicks the traitorous Demon Kings on Damien. But Damien is ready. With a defiant roar, he unleashes his own terrifying power, a vortex of dark purple energy erupting from his body. Odrago's smug expression tightens. He can feel the immense power radiating from Damien, a power that now rivals his own. In a single, devastating blast, Damien unleashes his fury. A cross-shaped wave of energy obliterates everything in its path. Odrago stares in disbelief. In a single strike, his elite Demon Kings, the lieutenants of his new world order, have been completely annihilated. In that case, done toying with his creation, Odrago prepares to unleash the full extent of his necromantic power. The Archlich raises his hands and summons his true army. A tide of green energy washes over the battlefield, and from the ground rises a legion of the dead. Odrago directs his undead horde, a seemingly infinite number of skeletons and zombies, straight towards the lone figure of Damien. The army of bones and rotting flesh charges forward with a terrifying roar, a tidal wave of death meant to drown the defiant knight. Damien stands his ground, unflinching in the face of the undead apocalypse charging toward him. He raises a hand and speaks a single word, a command filled with absolute authority that echoes across the battlefield. "Stop!" An aura of pure purple dominance erupts from Damien. Odrago's army freezes instantly, caught in the grip of a will far greater than the one that summoned them. With his eyes blazing, Damien issues a new order, hijacking the undead army for himself. "Surrender, all of you." The undead soldiers scream in agony as Odrago's green magic is violently overwritten by Damien's purple authority. Their loyalty is forcibly rewritten. With a single command, Damien turns the Archlich's own army against itself, the undead legion crumbling into dust and bone. Odrago breaks into a cold sweat, his mind refusing to process what he's seeing. This can't be happening. In his arrogance and lust for power, Odrago realizes his fatal mistake. He hadn't just created a powerful knight. He had forged a monster equal to the gods. Backed into a corner, Odrago makes a desperate attempt to de-escalate, feigning sympathy for the monster he created. "I see. You must be furious," he says, trying to find any weakness. "I understand. I'd feel the same." When sympathy fails, Odrago plays his final, arrogant card, revealing the source of his immortality. "Don't think you've won," he snarls, confident in his phylacteries. He boasts that even if this body is destroyed, he'll just transfer his soul to another vessel and eventually regain control. But Damien is unfazed by the threat. Gripping his sword, he reveals the singular focus that kept him sane while trapped. "For all those long years, I thought of nothing else other than how to kill you." Before Odrago can react, Damien lunges forward, his body a blur of blue light, closing the distance in an instant. "To kill you," Damien explains with cold fury. "I created a sword technique that severs even the soul." Odrago's immortality means nothing against an attack designed specifically to erase him from existence. Odrago sees the attack coming, a lance of pure energy that screams danger. For the first time, the Archlich feels the need to dodge. But there is no escape. The soul-severing light engulfs him, his skeletal face contorted in a mask of pure terror. Damien's ultimate technique strikes true, a brilliant flash that aims not just for the body, but for the very essence of the immortal Lich. A cold sweat of pure fear runs down Odrago's skull. He can't believe it. Such a technique shouldn't be possible. He begins to laugh, a desperate, manic sound. "Ha ha, of course. There's no way such a technique..." His denial is cut short by a piercing scream of unimaginable agony as the technique begins to unravel his very soul. Odrago thrashes in agony, his physical form convulsing as his spiritual essence is torn apart from the inside out. Damien watches as a vortex of dark energy forms in the sky, pulling the last vestiges of Odrago's soul into its inescapable maw. The soul-shredding vortex intensifies, a drill of pure destruction boring through the heavens. Odrago's face is frozen in a silent scream of absolute oblivion as his consciousness is erased from reality. The energy implodes, and the seemingly immortal Archlich is no more. His reign of terror is over. With a final hollow clatter, Odrago's skull falls to the ground, the malevolent red light in its eyes extinguished forever. The empty skull rolls across the desolate landscape, a mere bone, stripped of all its power and malice. Damien stands over the remains of his nemesis, his voice cold and final. "Go to hell!" With a single contemptuous stomp, he crushes the skull into dust, ensuring not even a memory of the traitor remains. Emperor Helios, the last survivor of the old world, looks on with tears in his eyes. He has been avenged, but by the very monster that caused his ruin. He can't comprehend the scene before him. The destroyer of his empire has also become its avenger. What is happening? His revenge complete, the last of Damien's strength gives out. He collapses to his knees, his long battle finally at an end. Ha! It's finally over. A sigh of relief escapes his lips. His body is broken, his life force spent. But before the end, there is one last thing he must do. He kneels, holding his sword before him, not as a weapon, but as a final companion on his journey into the abyss. His final thoughts are not of conquest or power, but of crippling regret. He needs to apologize to his family, even if it's only in death. And so, with a final swing, the tale of the Apocalypse-class Death Knight comes to an end, his own blade granting him the peace he could never find in life.